redesign the interchange, you have to realign it, whatever process that we tried to conclude in time, and all the whole project was stuck because we didn't act in time, right? And sometimes the building restriction area is 60 meters measured from the edge of the interchange, or sort of the road reserve. But sometimes in the title deeds, it might state that it's 16 meters or 16.5. That is the agreement that we had with the township establishment. They still was very coach in what we have stated in terms of the edge. So it's very important to go through the title deed and check and confirm this kind of clauses. Now you see there are also illegal vehicles that are flying all over the show. They are still within the building restriction area, even though it's not within standard old properties, but they are still distracting. It's still affecting the road users. That's why we say that in terms of your advertisement act, that anything that is visible on the national road, not just measured, or as long as it's visible on the national road, it's affecting the national road. Here is a very interesting slide in which we will then say that, the RLM is only maintaining this rate area. But what about this? Because it's still a Sanral owned property. It happens that during the appointment of the contractor or of the consulting company, that we did not include this in their contract. The fact that it's still within the same jurisdiction, if you define it in terms of the road section, you can still do a WA and include it in their contract so that they can continue maintaining the national road and protecting it. So the Sanral owned properties, as defined in the contract, that you have to take care of all Sanral owned properties, including the road reserve. The slides will be shared and you read through. Let me just quickly go. This is an ideal space in which we wouldn't want to see any encroachment, any illegal access, any illegal trading. It's a safe road. We might rate it like that. So we wish that all roads across the national road ultimately they should look like this. And then there's land disposal, there's leasing. Sometimes you might find that there's a property that has been existing and someone is not utilizing it for the purpose of roads upgrading. And then we lease out that property for any other uses so that we can protect the property from being invaded in. Obviously, the agency has the powers to sell the properties, to lease them, to regenerate funding for the agency and whatnot. So this slide is speaking to that in terms of fundraising for the purpose of upgrading the national roads or saving the purpose of improving the national road network state standards. Now here we only talk about the process in which statutory control will be approach municipalities, there will be the stakeholder engagements, so that we can have joint planning, joint land use management, so that they can assist us because they are the presiding experts in enforcement of land use management. We can issue notices, but then we can't go there and evict people as such if it's within the municipal jurisdiction. We can only evict within Sanral owned properties. The moment it's an adjacent neighbor, but then they've directed a billboard, we rely on the municipality to do the enforcement. It has been a little bit difficult with Free State because we would try to arrange meetings with those municipalities in which we can share the knowledge and awareness, and it was difficult for us to get reach of them. But in the past 2 years, the relationship is quite improving, and we are hoping that in the next 2-3 years, we should be now up and running and be able to fight this battle together. In this illustration is the one that I said I will touch deeper on it, which is now the national road. When you look at this graphics, this one here, do you see that the stripe stretches up until here? This is still the national road. One would say that no, this is a municipal road, but I didn't say to me the application to Sanral because this is on gaining access. Here is the national road. But when you go to ITs, and here is the boundary of the national road, that there is where actually you can then have your confidence to enforce. And you look at this one here, where you see the pink it's still within the declared road reserve, right? But then when you go a little bit further down, it's just a Sangal-owned property. So when you measure your 60-meter building restriction area, you look at whether you measure it against the declared road reserve. That is when you assess the impact of developments on the national road. But if it's here, it would be unfair for you to then start making